This is Amateur Logic, episode 179, for March 17th, 2023. This episode of Amateur Logic is brought to you by MFJ, the world leaders in ham radio accessories, and by ICOM. Got cabin fever? Look no further. Spring is just around the corner, and ICOM has what you're looking for. Our top quality base stations, mobiles, and handhelds are perfect for working your favorite bands inside the ham shack or venturing out this spring. Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Amateur Logic. I'm Professor O. Thomas.
I'm Tommy O. Martin.
And I'm Cheap O. Man.
And I'm Mike O. Morno.
I hadn't really thought that. Okay. It worked.
It did.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay.
Hey, what kind of furniture does an Irishman have in his living room?
What kind does he have? I give up.
Patio furniture.
Okay.
Oh, no.
What kind of furniture does Email have in his living room?
No, don't know.
Cheapo furniture. All right. Enough of that.
Okay.
Unless you got one, Tom.
No.
You're D1.
Nah. I was gonna do a Jeff Foxworthy redneck thing, but I'm not gonna go there.
Okay. All right. We've got a fun show lined up tonight. Glad you could join us here. This is, well, I don't know. Based on the decorations around here, looks like this must be St. Patrick's Day. You can't really tell about emails there. It might be a pot plant or something he's got going off screen over there.
That's my Irish throwing stars.
Oh, okay.
That's not a pot plant.
Okay.
Oh, that was classic.
Well, we've got some fun things lined up tonight. Let's just go around the horn, see what everybody's been up to and what we're about to get up to. Tommy?
Hadn't had a lot going on, man. Been having a lot of things around the house. Been around there a lot, and did discover something kind of new, digital mode related, which I did a segment on this time. I was not aware of, so hopefully people will find that interesting.
Cool. Emil, what's been going on down there?
Well, as you know, as you guys know, and probably are seeing the alerts up your way, the weather yesterday is in the 80s, and the weather tonight's in the 30s, and the rain didn't stop much today, so it's going to be interesting. We've been going through and braving that, but other than that, we've had quite the Brady, the .TV bunch.
I'm not sure what's happening, but
Yeah, that's the echo, the constant.
looks psychedelic.
I was expecting to hear some Doors music.
Yeah.
Anyway, besides the .TV bunch things that you put out there, I've been also doing my club here newsletter. You know, you can learn a lot of stuff from the newsletters. So I just published ours at the W5SLA. We call it the QRM, man-made noise, and have fun with that. Always learn stuff too. Lots of history things out there that I in all of our clubs kind of talk to each other around the lake here. So I've been up doing that too, and just having fun with it all.
Okay, that sounds like a fun time.
It does.
Mike, what's going on up there?
Well, well, as you know, I was away for a couple of weeks on holiday, and now I need a vacation. So don't let me take a vacation because I came back to all this work I had to do and get done.
Yeah, I kind of know how that goes. I have sort of been snowed under with work projects. As a matter of fact, Emil, I was in the swamp earlier this week, and I've got to go back, and it just happened to give me fuel for another Tales from the Transmitter site, which we'll be watching here a little bit later tonight. You're the slacker this month, so I know the most
Good
we can
job.
expect is maybe a post or, I mean, I don't think you'll even have an email.
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay. And Mike,
There's a new material called MXene, and they're experimenting by using it as a Faraday cage. But the difference between this material is it can be switched on and off. So it can block wireless signals, and it can be switched on and allow the signals to pass through. It goes into a fair amount of detail in the article, but there's the link on the screen there and a QR code if you're so inclined to check it out. And it's MXE, and I think we're going to hear a lot more about that material in the future.
I'm thinking of some other ideas right off the top of my head that I could do with that maybe.
Yeah, build a shop out of it.
And build a beam antenna. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see. Well, Tommy, you're up first tonight with a segment.
I was on Facebook the other day looking around, and I ran across a picture of something, caught my eye. I saw someone's cell phone with a thumb DV or DV Mega stick to the bottom of it with a OTG cable. And it caught my eye, so I thought I'd check that out and see. I have this DV Mega Globetrotter that I use with my cell phone quite often. It's a really sweet device. It's got an Ambi server built in, but it also works in dongle mode. As if you remember my previous segment on this, I showed you that. I also have my Northwest Digital Radio thumb DV stick here, and I've shown it as well. They work very similarly, but one's wired, one's wireless. Well, I'm going to see about getting these to work on my cell phone today. This is an Android phone. It's not going to work on an iPhone. We need to use a BlueDV software, and it doesn't support iPhone. So iPhone users, sorry, but you'll be out on this one. So I've already got the software installed. Well, it's the same software I used before, so let's take a look at it. We go into my radio section, and I've got BlueDV and BlueDV Ambi, and I'm going to go into BlueDV Ambi. That's one we used when we set up this before, the Globetrotter for wireless. So let's go into setup, scroll around, and there's a device set right here. It's the Ambi server. So let's touch on that and bring it down. We've got OTG, which is on the go, which means it's one of these little devices. I've shown it before on the show as well. It's a little OTG cable, and this one's for USB-C to regular USB. We're going to try to get that to work. So I know my thumb DV is one of the older ones, 23,400 is the baud rate on it, but the newer ones are 46,800. But I do know mine is 230, 400. So let's go ahead and click submit on that. We'll go ahead and pop the top off of this thing. And let's plug it up, the on-the-go cable. It's just a standard on-the-go cable. I got 2 of them off Amazon for $9. And let's plug it up. We'll turn it over so we can see the light. Okay, and I'm gonna skip that. Whatever. Okay, so let's go into connection. We're going to open the connection. Before I go much farther, you need to go in here and set it up. There's a video I did in the past about that, but you need to put your call sign, your DMR ID, so forth in here, at your hotspot ID, anyway, so forth, and go ahead and click OK, or submit rather. And we're plugged up. We've got the ThumbDV plugged up in here, and let's open the connection. I'm going to allow it, yes. And I saw the light blink on the device. So let's see if we can connect to something. I'm a D-Star guy, so you DMR guys, forgive me, but it works the same for DMR as long as you have your settings right. So I'm gonna go to Reflector 1 Charlie. That's actually the last one I played around with on here. And let's connect.
Link to REF001C.
Nobody talking, but we heard it connected. Let's disconnect. Let's try 30 Charlie, see if anybody's on there.
Link to REF030C.
Okay, to make a call on here, you touch the screen. I've got it set to change color when it's transmitting, so it's easy for me to tell. So let's see if anybody's on. This is Tommy M5Z&O. Is anybody around? Can you tell me how this device sounds? I'm trying to get it set up.
You sound really good to me, not a problem. And 8 LPQ, good audio, holding it well.
Awesome, appreciate that. I'm trying to set up my ThumbDV on my cell phone using BlueDV Ambi. Appreciate you coming back to me. And I'm gonna go ahead and clear for a minute and test something else out. M5Z&O, thanks. Disconnected, so I'm gonna try my Globetrotter. I'm probably gonna have to go into the settings and change it. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect that connection. Let's unplug my cable. Let's unplug this. I like to put that back on so I don't lose it, because I would be the first one to lose something like that. We need a cable that supports data. This is a micro USB to regular USB. Let's go ahead and hook it up. Let's hook this back up as we had it. And let's hook this up to the Globetrotter. I really do like this Globetrotter. It's a pretty unique device. It's in Ambi server mode. So let's go ahead and go into menu. Go in here where it says Ambi server. Let's click the OK button. Nope, Ambi server. One more. Click OK to toggle it. It says Ambi dongle. Go ahead to menu, going around. I'm not going to change anything else. Actually, there was a gateway, a baud rate. See the baud rate, 23,400? That's actually what we had set up on here. So if you have it set different, just pay attention. So we'll go ahead and click this till it gets all the way around to save. Save, press OK. Saving, restarting. And let's give it a try. Okay, that's set up. Let's try 1 Charlie this time. It's usually pretty busy about this time of the day. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the connection to the serial port. Let's click connect. No, it's not wanting to connect for me. It says OTG is connected. Start it back up again. Okay, we'll open the connection. Oh, now it's asking if it wants us to allow connection. It's probably going to work this time. I changed devices. I probably needed to restart the program. Okay, 1 Charlie still set. That's open. Connect.
Link to REF001C.
One thing I don't like about this program is it turns the volume up to 100% every time you start it. I wish there was a way to prevent that. Let's try the fun machine. Well, somebody just keyed up. See, disconnect. The fun machine would be,
Not linked.
I believe that's going to be XLX 815, if I remember right. 815, Bravo.
Linked DCS815B.
N5ZNO. Well, it works pretty much the same way. K8JTK N5ZNO. You around? Well, he must not be around at the moment, but it works exactly the same way as this. It's pretty sweet. I love this device. I like both of them. I love this device. A lot of times I leave it on the ambi-server mode here, and I can connect through this software because I have the port open on my network and I can use it from remote. But sometimes I forget to turn it on or open the port. This is always in my computer bag when I travel. Because of my job, I have to carry that bag, so I always have it in the phone. And I've got one of these cables in my bag as well, so I'm good to go. I can get on D-Star. Now there's a Droid Star application, but they've done some things with the codecs on it, and while it's not difficult, I don't think, to set up, I haven't set mine up on it, and this audio quality is not as good, but the audio quality on this is really, really good. So anyway, I hope, if you didn't know about this, I hope you find it useful. It's really cool. I had no idea that the OTG functionality was in the software. Not a lot, not a super technical segment, but a little informational this time. So hopefully you'll find it useful. Maybe if you got one of these with a DV Mega Globetrotter sitting around, may help you get a little bit extra use out of it. 73.
Very cool.
Yeah, I didn't know. That may have been in there a long time. I'm not really sure, but I just noticed it the other day, so kind of got excited, wanted to try it.
One of the other things I noticed, and I had read this, that David had added NXDN as a mode onto BlueDV, and I think I spied it when you were going down the list and switching to the fun machine.
Yeah, I need to play around with some of that too. He does some really cool stuff. All that software, he writes all that in his free time for fun, and every bit of it's free. So it's a really good service to the ham community.
Cool.
On the go.
Yep.
On the go.
So, Tommy, I think you have some late breaking news tonight.
I do. It actually came via email. It actually came via several emails. One from my friend Chip, K9MIT. I think Mike sent one, and somebody else sent one too. But ham radio operators, we need your help during the solar eclipse. NASA's asking for help. Ham radio operators, we're calling you. Members of the Ham Radio Science Citizen Investigation, Ham SCI, will be making radio contacts during the 2023 and 2024 North American eclipses, probing the Earth's atmosphere. It'd be a fun, friendly event with a competitive element, and you're invited to participate. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there are a couple of eclipses coming up, and you can go to I call it Hamsky, HAMSCI.org/festivals-eclipse-ionosphere-science.
You know, the last time we had a solar eclipse, I did some of that. I mean, I didn't report anything, but I actually shot a segment. It may have, I don't know, did we run it here?
I don't remember that one.
I must have run that on Ham Nation then. But I used the AM radio band to see what would happen, and I measured some signals to see what I could pick up. And there was a station quite a ways away that I really wasn't hearing. And when it started eclipsing, man, it came on in like it was nighttime.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, there's the two eclipses that are listed here. One's October the 14th of this year, And then there's another one coming up on April the 8th of next year.
Okay.
So anyway, you got a little bit of time to prepare, but I'll try to remember to remind people about that when it gets closer to time.
It's a fun thing, interesting too.
Yeah, it seems pretty cool.
When you said Hamsky, it reminded me of a really bad dad joke.
Here we go.
Aren't they all bad?
They're all bad. What's green and flies over Poland?
I give up.
Uh-oh.
Peter Pansky.
Hey, it's a green joke at least.
That's right.
So date appropriate.
That same article, Tommy, made it to our newsletter too. So there's a lot of people talking about that right now.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I got it from 3 different people. One of them was Mike, and then one was Chip, and I forget the other one. I have to look back through my emails. But anyway, it's kind of cool.
I call it Hamsci.
Hamsci.
Yeah. But it could be Hamsky. I don't know.
I think Psi is probably better, but
We're going to be back in just a moment. Don't go away. Would you like a good, quick way to erect your portable antennas at the next ham radio outing? Then check out the MFJ 1914 Lightweight Antenna Support System. The MFJ 1914 is a stainless steel antenna mass mount system, and it comes complete with 4 15-inch heavy-duty tapered galvanized stakes with outer pins for secure ground mounting of your favorite MFJ telescopic mast. It includes 2 sturdy U-bolts that will hold up to 2 1/4-inch outer diameter mast. Telescopic mast and portable operations are more popular than ever, and the MFJ 1914 will help you get your antennas up in the field quickly, easily, and safely. Assembly takes only a few minutes with a Phillips head screwdriver and a wrench. When you're ready to deploy your antennas, just place the MFJ 1914 mount system on the ground and use a hammer to drive the 4 tapered stakes into the ground for a sturdy, secure mast mounting base. Attach your mast and antennas, telescope your mast, and get on the air from almost anywhere. And depending upon your mast, antenna choices, conditions, and location, guiding may not be required. When you're ready to enjoy the next SOTA, POTA, IOTA, field day, or any outdoor radio operating event, take along your MFJ telescopic mast and MFJ 1914 stainless steel antenna mast mount system and get on the air. And it's perfect for your backyard or MCOM uses too. MFJ, the world leaders in ham radio accessories at mfjenterprises.com.
How tall is that mast? Because that camera shot made it look like it went up to the heavens.
it was just below there.
43 feet.
It looked like
Wow.
46 to me when it was up there.
I would show it to you, but it's green.
Yep.
You kind of disappeared in the clover when you reached over there.
Yeah, it's a really nice little mast, man. I mean, it's for stringing wires up. It's if you extend it out to 43 feet, the very last element is really small.
Yeah, it's real tiny.
But
We did or you did. I think I used it a vertical at Field Day a few years ago.
I
The
think,
last one we went camping at.
yeah, I think I've used it twice as a vertical, and I've set up a dipole on it one time. I don't know that I really used it, but I remember doing that. So yeah, it's real neat for a little lightweight, pick it up with one hand type of mast. Pretty convenient.
Speaking of that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, because it's fiberglass, it's non-conductive, it's not a ferrous metal. So I guess you could just attach a wire onto the top element and just send her all the way up to the top for a long, tall vertical.
That's exactly what I did, and I segmented the wire where I could lower it down and just plug in whatever length I wanted of wire, and ran several different lengths of ground radials out. Worked good.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Up next, speaking of antennas, I think it's your turn, Mike. You want to
Speaking
set
of
it up?
cool,
Yeah.
Well, this started out as kind of a, should I do it? It's an antenna, and I haven't built anything in a long time, so I was kind of excited to get my hands into building something. So I decided to build a dual band antenna for satellite work because I don't have one, and also they're kind of hard to come by in a dual band.
Dual band satellite Yagi. I've always been interested in amateur radio satellites, but never had a suitable antenna. After looking around at various options available, the ones that I found were relatively expensive, so I looked into making one. George Smart, M1GEO, in the UK, on one of his web pages, you can find his site here. George has a project detailing the construction of a dual band 2 meter and 70 centimeter Yagi antenna. The original design was made by LY3LP in Lithuania, but George and his father Christopher G8OCV found the SWR to be less than optimal. So after some computer modeling, they altered the dimensions as shown. All the measurements are in millimeters. The bottom of the diagram shows the element spacing. The red element in the diagram is the driven element or dipole and is connected directly with 50 ohm coaxial feed line. Normally at VHF and UHF frequencies, you need to be aware of the feed line losses associated with the length of coax, but in this project, the feed line length is short enough that regardless of what type of 50 ohm coax you use, the losses will be negligible. Thanks to George, he has done all of the heavy lifting in maths and has provided the antenna modeling plots on his website. Here is the SWR plot on VHF with the lowest SWR resonant point at 145.825 MHz. Here is the SWR on UHF with the lowest SWR resonant point near 437.75 MHz. Next we see the beam pattern on VHF and on UHF. These next two slides show a 3D representation of the beam patterns on VHF and UHF. Okay, let's build this thing. This image shows the two most important items for the construction of the Yagi, elements and boom. I discovered an economical source for suitable antenna elements, aluminum TIG welding rods. These are solid aluminum and come in 3-foot lengths. I had to settle on 3/32 inch diameter, however I understand that 1/8 are available from other sources, which I would have preferred, but this is what the store had. The boom is made from a leftover length of 1 inch diameter Schedule 40 PVC pipe that is available from plumbing supply and big box stores. Next I designed using Tinkercad rings where the elements could thread through the boom. I printed them out of Eco ABS on my 3D printer. These rings, you'll require 7 of them, are optional, and besides adding a finished look, they also served as a drilling guide in aiding the alignment of the elements. I also designed and printed end caps that fit snugly onto the ends of the boom. The nose cone is purely for aesthetics. The bottom cap is where the coaxial cable terminates to a BNC jack. Now comes the most critical and important part of the build. All elements must be perfectly aligned, and the spacing of the elements is critical. Draw a straight line, use a straight edge, or meter, or yardstick, down the entire length of the boom, and carefully mark out all of the element position spacings on the line. If you 3D printed the element rings, slide one of these rings onto the boom, and starting with the reflector bottom element, position the ring until the element position mark can be sighted through the hole of the ring. Drill a small pilot hole, being careful not to disturb the position of the ring. The drill bit should be a size or two smaller than the diameter of your elements. Now carefully drill another pilot hole on the opposite side, again using the ring as a drilling guide. Repeat these steps for the remaining elements until you have all 7 rings and sets of holes on the boom as shown here. Once the holes have been drilled, I use toothpicks to secure the rings into position. Next, carefully measure and cut each element according to the chart. Measure twice, cut once. The next step is to determine the finished hole size that you'll need. Redrill each of the pilot holes. This is more or less a try and see, as what you are aiming for is a hole size that is big enough to thread the welding wire elements, but snug enough to keep them in place. For the attachment of the coax, I secured the stripped ends using small clamps after wrapping around the elements several times. The driven and reflector elements are connected using these 3D printed connectors. Note that they are open at each end, but not fully through. They maintain a 15mm spacing of these 2 elements. Here is a picture of LY3LP's finished dual band Yagi. Here you can see he's using a Baofeng UV5B HT. Many thanks to Mike 1, Golf Echo Oscar, Golf 8 Oscar Charlie Victor, and Lima Yankee 3 Lima Papa. Once again, 7-3 from VE3MIC.
I'll be interested to hear how that works out.
Unfortunately, time was limited. I didn't have an opportunity to try a few passes of some of the sets. So hopefully in another segment I can capture that on video.
Cool.
You check the SWR on it?
I haven't, and that's another thing I need to do. Unfortunately, I don't have an analyzer that goes up high enough into those bands, so I'll have to see about borrowing one.
I know you can get a nano VNA pretty cheap.
That's true.
I was looking at something else here I was looking at the chat room, I'll be honest. And I missed how you connected the aluminum rods to the coax. I saw the housing you built, but what's keeping the aluminum and the, I assume, copper happy with each other?
That's the $1 million question. Being the aluminum, I looked at you can get special rods that you can weld with aluminum, but I was concerned that it was going to probably melt the ring or perhaps even the boom in doing that. So what I ended up doing is using those little nylon clamps. It's not ideal by any means, but just wrapping it around a few times and then securing it with one of those nylon clamps against the driven element.
Okay. Well, Tommy and I were talking about it, and what was the compound you were mentioning?
NOx.
NOx.
That would be a good thing because, as you know, aluminum has a tendency to oxidize pretty quickly, especially if it's out in the elements. But
when you put aluminum and copper together, there's a reaction from it.
Right. I guess it's like anything else. Even when you're using stainless hardware on aluminum mass and stuff and things like that, you still have to use what they call it galling. The metals, they kind of weld themselves together, making it difficult to remove after they've been in the elements for a couple of years. So that NOx you're talking about, is a good thing to have on hand.
I was telling George I bought some at Dayton one year.
Yeah.
Little thing. It was pretty cheap. I just bought it, threw it in my stuff. I've used it a few times.
I have actually soldered a copper wire to a piece of aluminum before.
You're a maniac.
It's like magic, man. Now
what's that? I've done stainless steel, but not aluminum. And I was worried about putting too much heat to it and distorting the plastic.
Based on my experiments on doing that, while it is possible, it takes a long time, and that piece of plastic would end up just being a melted blob before you ever got it soldered.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's cool.
thought of maybe now I haven't seen anything suitable yet, but I was even thinking of some sort of a crimp-on connector that I could fasten on, but the thing is I still need the end of the element to go into the boom for support. So
Yeah.
I don't have like an open end to attach.
Well,
And I can't really attach them on the inside because there's no way to work once they're inserted inside the boom. George M1GEO, he built his on a wooden mast, and he just mounted his elements on top of the wood and used clamps similar to the ones that I showed in the video. I think his were likely metal, and he got them from a hobby store.
cool. All right. You know, I may not be the only one, but I'm probably one of only 2 people here tonight who have an actual email right here.
Well, you're the only one here in this building with one.
Well, that's why I brought 2 of them. I got 2 emails I'm covering for you here.
Okay, well,
So
thank you.
you owe me.
I'll hook you up.
But the first one comes from a guy, well, I know email knows him. It's our friend Glenn, and he said, look what my traveling hat found today.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It's in the chat
Look out.
room.
Yep. Crawdads. And potatoes, sausage.
Corn,
Corn?
mushroom, olives, yum. Is that
When I
carrots in there?
When I see that, I think about the Rain Ham Fest.
Yep. And, there was a Rain Ham Fest this year.
No.
Yeah, we said there wasn't.
Yeah.
But
I thought Arnie looked it up and said, or I think it was Arnie. Somebody looked it up.
So it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't the normal ham fest. It was kind of like a impromptu get together. Tomorrow is their getting back to it.
that was sort of impromptu too, wasn't it?
The dogs are still talking to somebody.
If you listen on my segment real close, you'll hear 2 dog barks in there.
If you listen on mine, coming up here in a few minutes, you'll hear at least 1 dog barking in there.
So they're having what's going on tomorrow? They're having a ham fest tomorrow.
No, it was last weekend.
Yeah, it was last weekend, and it was just a smaller
Okay.
get together. And tomorrow, next year they're planning on resuming the full.
Okay. Well, I was thinking, we heard there wasn't one, and then all of a sudden it popped up, and I said, well, I couldn't have gone anyway this past weekend, but well, you couldn't have either. So, yeah, interesting. I don't know exactly what this is, but I would imagine you do. There's something that the hat is sitting on there. Is that a crawdad cooker or
There's
something?
a theme here.
Yes, I'm sure Glenn. I've been to one of Glenn's crawfish bowls at his house, and yeah, that's quite the get up there. Speaking of aluminum, you cook it in there, and then you dump it from there. It's all in one piece that makes it super cool and easy with that nice looking crawfish logo there. So the hat definitely took advantage of that boil, and they make some mean crawfish over at his place.
Wow. So y'all call it crawfish, you don't call it crawdads.
Right, crawfish.
Crawfish. Oh, well, same difference up here. And that's email.
You above I-10, right? You're north of I-10.
I am.
All right.
You can call them pretty much, mud bugs or whatever you want up here.
If
That's
you keep going north, we call them crayfish.
Well, I've heard that term too. I got one more email.
Oh, tell me it's not so.
It is so. And the only reason I'm reading this one is because there's a real conundrum here. Greg Neely, KL4JN, he wrote me, he may have y'all too. I'm not sure if you were copied on this. Radio Pros, love the show. I don't know which I'll try first, the relays, VNA, or emails MFJ field gear. Keep up the great production. And, I wrote Greg back and I said, I'm not sure which one I'll try first either. And then I said, oh, wait. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on that.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought y'all might have been on there. And he said he's going to be trying out Google Service Weaver tomorrow. Looks like an easy way to set up microservices in Go. He's an old C programmer, and Go is similar to C. It sounds interesting. I wanted to look it up and see what the deal is, but I didn't get a chance to see about it.
I see what you did. I see what you did there.
Oh, I see what you did too.
Mike, you started it.
I was going to say that wasn't very sharp.
Oh, no. No, you
No,
didn't.
it wasn't. It wasn't very sharp. And my C is usually sharp. Plus, plus.
Y'all need to stop.
Okay, we'll stop. We're going to be back in just a moment because I've got a tale from the transmitter site. Got cabin fever? Look no further. Spring is just around the corner, and ICOM has what you're looking for. Our top quality base stations, mobiles, and handhelds are perfect for working your favorite bands inside the ham shack or venturing out this spring. ICOM's newest FM transceiver is the ICV3500, and it's ready to hit the road whenever you are. With a compact body and simple interface, this radio is a must for those looking for a long-range mobile with a fresh look. Go further with 65 watts output and get louder with 4.5 watts of audio with the ICV3500. The rugged ICOM IC-T10 portable meets or exceeds standard military testing. With an IP67 waterproof rating, the IC-T10 can withstand any field activities ahead. Hear any transmission and listen to FM broadcast with a loud 1500 milliwatt speaker. The IC-T10 is an excellent choice for any bug-out bag. The IC7300 is a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design that will far exceed your expectations. This innovative HF transceiver digitizes RF before various stages, reducing inherent noise in different IF stages. With RF direct sampling, the IC7300 changes the way entry-level HF is designed. The IC705 is a perfect sidekick and QRP companion. Base station features and functionalities at the tips of your fingers in a portable package covering HF, 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs just under 2 pounds with RF direct sampling for most of the HF band and IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz. The perfect accessory for the IC705 is the optional backpack LC192 with a special compartment for your IC705 and room for accessories. The ID52A is a VHF-UHF dual bander with D-Star and FM dual mode functions and is the first handheld amateur radio with a full-color 2.3-inch waterfall display. This radio supports conventional FM communications and D-Star simplex, repeater, regional, and worldwide calls over the D-Star Internet Gateway. Send photos over D-Star with a connected Android device. The ID52A is a perfect companion to the IC705. Both use compatible batteries and headsets, and you can also use the same Android app for D-Star operation. Learn more about these and all the great ICOM radios at icomamerica.com/amateur. For the love of ham radio. You know, anytime there's an opportunity to go play in the mud and,
Do it.
and get
We're
paid,
looking at you, Emil.
yep, and get paid at the same time.
Yeah, you can get some. You can find some dinner in the mud too if you look in the right places.
I'm sure you could, or some critters out there could find dinner too. Anyway,
An expert on alligators now.
here we go with Tales from the Transmitter site. Where else but the glamorous world of broadcast engineering can you do something like this? At 50 kilowatts, that's not your father's heat kit. Out in the swamp, it takes a lot of power to operate a 50 kW AM transmitter. You'll probably want three-phase 480 volt service. In the highly unlikely event of a power failure in the swamp, you'll want to have 1 or maybe 2,000 gallons of fuel available for the generator. On the left-hand side of the photo is a 50 kilowatt solid-state AM transmitter. In the middle is a phaser cabinet. On the right-hand side is a 1 kilowatt auxiliary transmitter that's used as a backup and at nighttime. Why would you need a phaser cabinet? That's because this station operates with a directional antenna at night. There are 3 different towers at this location. During daytime hours, only 1 tower is used. At night, all 3 are switched in to create a directional pattern to the south. Unlike a Yagi antenna that we'd commonly use in amateur radio, where only 1 element is fed, in this case, all 3 towers are being fed power. The knobs on the front of the phaser allow you to adjust the power and phase being fed to each tower. Inside the phaser, we use a combination of coils and capacitors for matching and to shift the phase and power that we'd like to go to each tower. There are a couple of RF contactors, or switches in here, that are used to direct the power through the phaser. That's why I'm here today. One of the RF contactors at one of the towers has an issue. It's only switched in at night, but when it won't switch, we've got a problem. In order to connect these transmitters and towers in a method where nothing gets burned up and it works like it should, we need some wiring and relays to make it happen. The technical term for this is rat's nest. To verify that the antenna system is working correctly, we use a device called a phase monitor that allows us to compare the phase and power ratios being fed to each of the towers. To verify the directional pattern of a directional AM station, we'll use an instrument called a field strength meter to actually go out in the field and take measurements at specific locations. Anytime you're going to be working out in the swamp, it's a good idea to bring your hoe with you. Now, we don't own these towers, we lease them. And some of that galvanizing spray really looks like it does a good job. However, you might want to check things a little closer. Now, you're not going to have this much fun sitting in the office. I apologize for the poor quality of these photos. This is the inside of one of the antenna tuning units after the RF contactor has been removed. This is a simple T network, much like we might use in amateur radio. However, all the connections are fixed. They are not variable because we don't change frequencies. You'll also notice custom drain holes in the bottom of the cabinet to allow any moisture to escape. These were formed through a special rusting process. Here's the antenna switch I retrieved from the tower. You can see there are two positions here. When the plungers are in the up position on this side, that indicates the day mode. Well, this particular tower is not used during the day, so there are no spring contacts down inside of here. That just flops in that direction and no connections made to anything because there's nothing connected here. On the other side of contacts over here are the night mode, and that's when this particular tower switches in. You can see there's a pole piece here. It's on the top and bottom, and there's two sets of these finger contacts, one at the top and the bottom. One side goes to the matching network inside the ATU. The other side down below goes to the antenna. And so when this pole piece is pulled in on this side, it connects those two sets of contacts together. There's solenoids inside here, and here's one that pulls this in two different directions. In the night mode, it'll pull that pole in to those two contacts. In the day mode, it does right the opposite. Down inside here, you'll notice there are 4 micro switches with little levers that contact them. That is what tells the rat's nest back in the building what position this switch is in, whether or not it's safe to turn on the transmitter into this tower, because, hey, you wouldn't want all the RF leaking out, would you? You want it to go to the tower. This is used for the logic for the switching down here. Now, this particular one, it was not switching. We didn't know that because every time we'd go down to the doghouse, that's the antenna tuning unit, and we would try to switch between day and night mode, it would work. And we'd leave and it'd work for 2 or 3 nights, and then it would quit switching again. We'd walk back down there and try it, and it would switch. Seems like every time somebody was at the site, it worked fine. When there was nobody there and it was unattended at night, it would not switch. It took a long time to figure out what was going on because it was highly intermittent. Thought it was the micro switches, and there's 3 different towers. Each one has got 4 micro switches, so I went through and replaced a number of them. The big problem here is the rat's nest. None of this stuff has any schematic diagram, so I have no idea how any of this is wired up. It's strictly a guess and virtually impossible to trace out. Well, the last trip I made out there, this thing did not switch. I kind of looked around, to see if maybe anything was loose. He hit the button and it didn't switch. And I was just kind of wiggling around on things, looking to find a problem. And on this particular solenoid right here, which happens to be the one that would pull it in to night mode, as I was wiggling around here, I noticed this contact was very loose. As soon as I touched the wires, it switched. So then I knew the solenoid was the problem. As I started taking it out, I discovered that, wow, it just broke right out. So somewhere down in there where this contact is supposed to be soldered or crimped or tack welded, it broke. I have not cut this open to see what's going on down in there yet. I'm not hopeful that I can fix it, although I might try it. I ordered a new replacement solenoid to fit this. As luck would have it, the manufacturer no longer makes this particular solenoid, and the new one won't fit. So I've got a retrofit kit now that I've got to install on here, replace both of the solenoids along with all of the linkage, extend the chassis out a little bit by adding on a plate so it'll have room to hold the new solenoids. So this is just one of the exciting kind of jobs you can look forward to as a broadcast engineer. To help keep you straight, here's a few swamp transmitter technical tips. There's a variety of wildlife in the swamp, such as this larger hooved animal. If you're planning to build a swamp-located transmitter site, you want to make sure to have a slough or a marsh of some type. It gives you a good place to store your frogs, beavers, water moccasins, and alligators. It's also convenient in the winter for washing out the road.
As a rule of thumb, you'll want to keep 3 cans of wasp and hornet killer for every 1 can of contact cleaner. Now, just a little heads up, you don't want to get these confused with the antenna tuning boxes.
Looks like a good time, man.
I think this might be the first time you've ever shown us your hoe.
Yeah. Well, anytime I'm going to be going in the swamp out there, I have to have my snake killing hoe with me.
No.
Yeah, and I've killed snake with that hoe last year, maybe the year before, I don't remember.
I like
George-
those custom drain holes. When we were kids, we had a car with some custom holes like that in the back floorboard.
Yeah, well, a 68 Chevy, they had those installed around the rear window.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember seeing those?
Yep.
Yeah. What were you saying, Emil?
We had a car once, and the one side of the car in the rocker panel had developed this rust hole. And one day, I reached my hand in there and pulled out a pair of workman's gloves. I guess whoever was building the car on the line decided he was going to have a coffee break, took his gloves off, and left them there.
Wow.
I'm just about 100% certain, George, that your snake killing hoe is going to make it to the Christmas catalog in 2023.
Okay. All right.
That could be a bestseller.
Well, it could be. I know as hams,
I can think of the copy for the ad. You two can have your own hoe.
If you're going to be messing with that, be sure you're wearing your rubber boots. That's all I can say.
This is going south, deep south. Pretty quick.
Check, please.
Yeah, so, as amateurs, the technology is a lot the same. Tommy was talking about how that switch looked prehistoric. The ones they make today look almost identical to that. They're only going to sell...
Without the rust?
Without the rust, yeah. They're only going to sell a few of those, because how many are you going to...
Pretty limited market, I would think.
Limited market. And that switch is probably $3,000 or $4,000. And that one would probably do 5 kilowatts. Now,
Would there be any noticeable arc flash when that thing's switching over?
That's why it's got those micro switches. Yes, there would be an arc flash, but the rat's nest is supposed to take care of that. just to explain the technology there. There's about 30 relays in that thing, and it's supposed to turn off the transmitter power before it tries to move that solenoid.
Okay.
Now, that's what all those micro switches are for. If it didn't, that micro switch is supposed to break before it actually moves out of the contact, so that would shut the transmitter off.
Okay.
But,
so break before make.
Right. But no, I have seen it. The little spring clips there that the bar goes into, I've seen those things just, melt down. And there'd be nothing left there when it didn't work right.
Are those remote antenna tuners over there on in those white boxes?
Now, next time I'm going out there, if you'd like to have a closer look,
yeah, let's see
you're
what
welcome.
Makes those things tick. I think there's transformers in them because it sounds like when you go.
It had a buzzing sound to it, I could see from that distance. I could see the bees swarming around it. Yeah, that's not on the property of the station, but it's right next to it.
Yeah,
somebody put those in a couple of years ago, and nobody's messed with them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
If 60 of them get you, it really hurts.
Yes.
Oh.
I see what you did there, too.
That site's out in the swamp. It uses massive amounts of electricity. It needs some work, but yeah, AM radio's not making a lot of money these days, and if you're feeding a 50 kilowatt transmitter a steady diet of 60 hertz, that eats up most of the budget.
Yeah, and you might as well take advantage of the custom drain holes. I mean, why not?
That's
Why
right.
not? Yeah.
It's a perk.
I read an article recently that a lot of auto manufacturers aren't even going to be bothering putting AM radios in their vehicles anymore. It's going to be FM only.
Yep. Some markets, that's going to be a bad deal because I think maybe Los Angeles, some markets where there's a lot of mountains around, FM.
That's right.
Has got multipath issues, and the AM stations are still the big stations there. So,
yeah,
I'm sure the rural customers won't be too happy about that. And when you consider how much is involved in adding AM to a radio,
it's pennies.
It's pennies. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know the margins were that tight on a new vehicle.
But
I guess the bean counters are always looking for ways to reduce costs.
Well,
yep.
Yeah, you should just reduce the interference. I don't agree with the what they're doing there, but hey, they just don't want to spend the money to fix the noise.
Apparently, it's going to be an issue too for emergency situations where they need to get a message out to the masses. You're not necessarily going to be able to do that over FM radio.
Yeah.
Well, true.
I think they rely on cell phone stuff for that nowadays, but when those don't work too, like in Florida during the hurricane, cell phones were out for a good while.
Well, I mean, you won't be able to run your HF rig in an electric vehicle if the AM radio can't pick up, a station that's running a kilowatt or 50 or so. You're not going to hear that DX contact.
I'm not going to have to worry about it, though.
You're going to walk?
No, I don't have an electric vehicle. I'm not planning on getting one anytime soon.
Yeah, me neither. The Ford Lightning kind of looks interesting, but then when they showed if somebody did a test, they put it under the weight load that it should be able to carry, and I think it went 70 miles and it needed a charge.
Yeah, they're not ready.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to even consider such as that.
Email. You're the slacker this month. Do you have a bona fide email to share with us?
Email has an email from somebody who is in our chat room.
Oh.
KC9 TPR, William from Wisconsin, who's in the chat room tonight, wrote to us with a bona fide email and asked about the cheap old man's segment about the lightning protection. I think Arnie has also asked about that several times as well, to see if I did anything with the pieces, parts, and kit that I had. So the answer to that is I never did put together my kit. In fact, I gave my pieces, parts back because the inventor of this device, K5OZ David, he's the president of our club, started building them with some people in the club to see how things would go together. So that's the stage it's at, and I'm going to put some of the links to the presentation, the latest one that he has out there for it, on the show notes here. So check them out in the show notes. There's a presentation about the device, as well as a video where he actually, in our forums for the Hamfest, this is Dave here, on YouTube, there's a video from our Hamfest that me and Glenn shot of him talking through this device. So there's lots of information out there yet, but I don't think he's putting it out there as a kit form, like for sale or anything, but I'm thinking he's trying to figure out if that's doable. And from what I'm seeing and hearing from the people who have them, it works. It just works. So there you go. Bill or William, KC9TPR. That's the answer for you. So check out the show notes when George publishes this episode.
Okay, and then Tommy publishes the show notes.
And then Tommy, that's right.
Tommy who?
Yeah.
Speaking of show notes, I forgot to mention that I'll post the STL files for all those 3D printed parts that I used in the dual band satellite Yagi project.
Okay.
Cool. Good idea. Good idea. There's one thing I want to mention for the Thinking Ham. There's going to be a net coming up Tuesday, March the 21st of 2023 at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time, 0100 UTC. And it's the Logic Net. It's what has replaced the AmateurLogic Soundcheck Net we used to have every week. We finally shut down the net, and our good friend Tom, WA2IVD, decided that he would pick it back up, and once a month we'd have a net, the Tuesday following the release of an AmateurLogic each month. So the net controls this coming Tuesday night will be Tom and Marty, AD0PO, and they'll be talking about whatever you want to talk about. The topics that we had on this episode of AmateurLogic, or I would assume anything you want to talk about.
I don't think anybody would be turned away.
I don't think so either. There's a lot of places you can join on All-Star, Echolink, Hamshack Hotline, Hams over IP, DMR, D-Star.
All the R's.
All the R's, all the M's, M17, NXDN, P25, Wires X, and YS
F. Gaseous System Fusion.
Okay. So a lot of ways
Ys.
you can connect right there. So, we'll look forward to catching some of you on there this coming Tuesday night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a fun little net.
It is a fun little net. And Tommy, you and I are wearing these shirts tonight, these special issue AmateurLogic.TV long sleeve t-shirts. These were imported from Canada, as we mentioned
it's a
earlier.
Canadian edition.
Mike and his wife printed these especially for us, but if there were people out there in the audience who needed some kind of
needed some clothing,
some really good clothing, because it's not long before the Dayton Hamvention.
that is true.
That's coming up pretty
I'd like to
soon.
see some of those running around at the Dayton Hamvention.
Yeah.
You can go to shop.spreadshirt.com/AmateurLogic and
Where can you get some of that?
You've seen the ball caps, so there were like 3 of those tonight. Mike's got one on. There's some other kind of caps in there. There's the Wilson, your neighbor cap, like that.
Where can you get some of that, neighbor?
Hi ho, good neighbor. You
Wow,
can go
I'm
to
not going to sleep tonight
shop.
after seeing that.
You can go to shop.spreadshirt.com/AmateurLogic, Wilson.
Cool.
Okay. Are those actually on there that he's wearing?
I think so.
Yeah. I bought it from there, so yeah.
I'm telling you, there's
Okay.
tons of stuff on there. I don't even remember all what's on there. There's backpacks. There may be AmateurLogic underwear on there. I just don't even remember. There's some of everything. It's
Look.
quite a variety.
You look
What
as
about-
good approaching someone as you will leaving, too.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
People can't tell if you're coming or going wearing
I mean-
that hat.
If you really want to look smart, you can put it on the Ham College TV logo side. Otherwise, you can just flip it around and put it on the AmateurLogic side. All right.
I could pass it up. The bucket. It was
Well-
on my bucket list.
I hope
We need beanies with propellers on the top. That's what we need.
I think maybe that was in one of the gift guides, wasn't it?
What? The beanies?
Yeah.
I don't know.
One of the
Seems
Christmas gift
seems
guides seems
familiar.
like it might have been.
Oh, the recharge the sun one. Yeah.
The cranial cooler?
No,
The
that
cranial.
yeah.
That was a ball cap.
That's
though.
a more advanced version of the old propeller beanie.
You know, we may have to pull that technology back out because you could just hang your head out the window and recharge that Tesla
That's right.
as you're going down the highway.
There you go.
Perpetual motion machine.
One other thing I wanted to mention, it's always on my notes here of what we need to talk about, and that is, if you're watching this on YouTube, how about going down there and click that share button and maybe the like button?
Especially if you're watching the published one.
Yes, the published one.
The live one, we appreciate all those too, but this video will actually go away.
Yeah, once it's edited, we put out, you know, the episode that will stay there forever. And if you're watching that, click share, click like, and let your mom and them know about Amateur Logic. We would appreciate it.
If you weren't watching on YouTube, you don't watch on YouTube, where else could you watch it?
Oh man, there's so many places that you can watch it, and you can download it. Go to AmateurLogic.TV, and you can download it right there. You can also watch it on Roku. Where else?
Amazon Fire Stick.
iTunes.
Is there still iTunes? Archive.org.
Yep. YouTube.
And speaking of Roku, if you've noticed, the Roku channel's been kind of sparse with episodes. Roku had a problem with their software, and they just got it fixed. So when I publish this episode on Roku, I'm going to do my best to get all the back ones published too. So you should see a huge influx of episodes on the Roku channel coming up here this week.
Close to 300
Yeah.
between the Amateur Logic and the Ham colleges.
So right now there are probably 12 on there, maybe at best.
Yeah. So,
but anyway, we've been trying to get it straightened out, but it was beyond our problem. They've had a problem on their system, but it seems to be fixed now.
well, with that, let's go around one more time and see if anybody's got any words of wisdom or foolishness before we
There's
leave tonight.
no words of wisdom from over here for sure. Oh,
I wasn't really expecting
some
any.
foolishness. I'm glad you included that part. Thank you for not leaving me out.
Yeah.
But I don't have too much to add. Looking forward to the longer days now since the time's changed. So we've got some time after work. So I hope to get out and do some more projects and stuff. I'm like Mike. I'm way past due for a build project, and I'm just itching to get out and do something.
Yeah.
Hands on.
Yep. Well, if you need to borrow my hoe.
I'll keep that in mind.
Okay. Email.
George, I'm sold. I'm sold, man. The words of wisdom from tonight's show is got to be always bring your snake killing swamp hoe with you.
Well, that is true, and you don't have to be in Louisiana to need one of those.
Exactly.
You know, everybody, well, I say everybody, they're probably not in the desert, but you might want to carry,
snakes out there.
yeah, but you won't have a swamp.
No, there's no swamp.
Yeah. Mike.
Well, as you know, I was away for 2 weeks, and part of that trip took me down to Homestead, Florida. And I actually visited, I can't remember the name of the place, but it was in the Florida Everglades, went for an airboat ride. And I can honestly say now I'm an expert on alligators because I know exactly not what to do when it comes to alligators. Stay away, stay away, don't make any noise.
You got the scars to prove it?
Well, the fellow that was at this park that I went to was doing all kinds of demonstrations, including a feeding. And at one point, he was holding the alligator's jaw open with his chin. So don't do that.
No.
Speaking of words of wisdom.
Yep. He probably needed his alligator killing hoe with him, too. Yeah.
There's the other
Keep it
words of
cheap.
wisdom.
Oh, I forgot
Thanks.
to tell you, I'm surprised, Emil, you didn't ask me what the cost of the build for that dual band satellite Yagi was.
Hey, Mike, what was the cost of that dual band satellite Yagi?
Total expenditure? Under $40.
Canadian dollars.
Canadian dollars.
That's like $25
That's like
US.
20 American dollars.
So
Man.
if we calculate it, and pull your pencil and paper out there, Mel, cost per QSO. What does that work out to be?
Well, right now it's $40 Canadian because he hadn't made any, but he will.
So it'll go down as time comes along.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's actually,
Tommy,
what do they call that? Appreciating returns, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
how much was your the software there, Tommy?
Oh, mine was free.
Hey, wait a minute. Watch it with that F word.
Mine was free, and the OTG cable I already had, and the Thumb DV and the DV Mega Globetrotter I already had too. So mine was totally free.
Mike, I'm sorry, Mike.
Okay.
Well, just hang on there a minute, Emil. That big tube of TIG welding rod that I bought is probably got enough in there for me to build 3 antennas, 3 Aggies.
Okay, so quantity. Okay, quantity.
Yeah.
Well,
You could actually sell those others and make money out of the deal. I still got a half a tape measure for sale, by the way. It's on eBay if anybody's interested.
well, let me just say this. Putting on the rubber boots and carrying the hoe, I actually made money, Mel.
Negative free.
Yep. Yep. So, anyway.
You might start a new category. But I don't know. We can't really consider that amateur.
But if you looked at the rat's nest now, you know, think about that. You know,
the drain holes. The drain holes definitely had the value.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for tonight. Did I have any words of wisdom to leave with you?
Other than the swamp?
Yeah. Don't jiggle the wires in the rat's nest very much. That's one. Wear your rubber boots. Carry your snake killing hoe. Make sure that you have more than 1 can of wasp spray. And don't go around the boxes that I pointed out at the end.
Well, the quotient is 3 cans per can of contact cleaner, right?
That is. And it's probably more than that because I've had that contact cleaner can for years, but the wasp spray, I've gone through a lot of it.
I bet.
That sounds like something straight out of Better Living Through Chemicals.
Well, yeah, it does. It does. Now, I don't have the picture, and I'm not sure where it is, but I wish I still had a photo of when I opened up that old transmitter in the building next door to this one that is no longer in use. And the snake was sitting up inside of it looking at me. Now, that was a
I was
classic.
wondering what you were doing in this place.
Well, I don't know, but I didn't have any snake killing spray with me, so I pushed the door back and
You have your
left
hoe
him
with you?
alone.
Or your snake killing hoe.
No, I didn't. I didn't have either one of those with
I
me.
guess that's probably where you made that rule.
It must have been.
Shortly after that.
Yep. All right. Thanks for being here, everyone. We look forward to seeing you again in the middle of April. I look forward to seeing some of you at Dayton Hamvention this year. I will be there. Mike will be there representing Canada. Emil won't be there this year. Tommy,
Jury's out. I'm still working on it. I'm going to try to figure it out this weekend. So
Okay.
I hope to go.
Okay. All right. Well, that's going to do it for me. And, well, I guess,
I guess it's going to do it for all of us
Yeah,
then.
as soon as I hit the button.
All right. 73, everybody. See you at Ham College. Some of you.
7-3.
7-3.